Welcome back to Taking Up Space with Jordan. I'm your host, Jordan, and I started this podcast so that I could start empowering women because when I was going through it, I felt like I had nowhere to look for, no one who looked like me, no one who was going through what I was going through, and I felt alone. And so when I first started this podcast, I was like, I could be that person for somebody else. And so today is going to be a little different. I typically do write out scripts for each of my podcast episodes, not usually someone who can go right off the cuff. And so I wanted to do a little more raw dog, I guess. So it's just going to be me, raw dog, and this mic here. And I'm really excited for it. I have a couple of talking points, but why I wanted to do this episode in this way, and I'm very sorry for anybody who doesn't like little pauses or long pauses, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of those today. But this is going to be me and all my natural glory. And I've been really thinking a lot about the space in between when you're not where you were, but you're also not where you want to be. I have been thinking about this a lot because I have now been doing this podcast for a year and a half. I just had my 70th episode, which I'm very thankful and proud of what I have accomplished so far. But at a certain point, when you look at the analytics, when you start looking at other podcasters and what they're doing, you can't help but feel like you're not getting far enough and maybe at the pace that you want. And so today we're going to talk about being in that in-between space and kind of how I'm navigating it. And I wanted this episode to be really real and really raw. So if you're interested in hearing about the in-between, then stay tuned. So for me, I think the hardest part about being an entrepreneur, especially doing something like what I'm doing, where it is going to be a long road and it is going to take a while to get there and to break into the industry. There is a moment I have almost on a weekly basis where I go, is it actually worth continuing going forward? Is it worth continuing following this dream? And then I have a moment where I go, well, what else would you do? And I have been very fortunate to be able to have a job that does support what I do and is very happy to support what I do. But they're now offering me different roles and different avenues for me to pursue. And so this past week, I've been really thinking about what does it mean if I were to actually give up on this and pursue those things. And I found myself feeling really unhappy with that. My first inclination was, oh, well, that would be a lot of money. It's the immediate help that you have been wanting for your finances. You could hit a lot of your financial goals. But then I had this other voice going, but at what cost? At what point is money just money? And as someone who didn't come from a family of wealthy people, who has had to be very independent for most of my life, financial security, it means a lot to me. But I had to start wondering, is financial security worth giving up on your dreams when I am fine right now? Sure, I can't go on all the lavish trips that I would want to. Sure, I can't buy all the things that I want or get a nicer apartment. But I keep wondering, keep thinking about the girl that I was when I was 25 years old. Or I should say the woman that I was when I was 25, who was married, who did have the big house, who did have, the fence and the yard and all of the things that would consider a person to be successful. I had a good job. I had a good husband. I put that in air quotes. But on the surface level, everything was very good. It's very fine. I should have been happy, and yet I still wasn't. And I look at where I am today and I go, I've never been happier than I am in my life. I might not have the financial luxuries that I once had, but I do have the freedom to be myself 100%. And so when I think about that, when I think about where I was and where I am today, I can't help but wonder, okay, what about me in 5 years from now? Will she look back on my decisions? And will she say, I have never been happier now? Or will she say, I regret? I think it's hard to look into the future and try to imagine what your life would be like if you were to take path A or to take path B. And I think there is a lesson here where you can create your own path. And so that's what I am planning on doing. I am going to take the new job opportunity, but I am also going to make sure that I can stick to my creative pursuits like this podcast, like being a coach for women, to help them so that if they are in this place, they can also feel like they have somebody to go to and listen to and understand that they've been there too. So all this to say is that I have been feeling like I was a little stuck, confused, or kind of at this plateau. And I've talked about that for the past 2 episodes. I had the podcast episode just last week where it was talking about saying yes after you've been learning to say no for so long. And this is kind of a continuation of that, where it's a yes and it's a no. It's both. And this is what it looks like in your healed state, is that you can say yes to the opportunities and to your dreams and to the pursuits that you want, but you can also say no to things that aren't aligning with where you are or where you want to be. And so when it comes to managing that transition, I think there is this pressure to always have a plan, to always know what is coming next. And I'm not going to lie, I don't know what the fuck is going to happen next for me. I don't know where I'm going to be, where I'm going to go. I have goals, I have hopes, and I have dreams, but I can't help but wonder, what does that actually equal out to in the end? And I think there's this pressure to constantly have an idea of where you're going to go next. And I think that that is bullshit. I think there is something so beautiful about not just living in the now and not just being present, but being okay and being happy with where you are now without feeling like, oh, I need to prepare for the next job opportunity, or I need to prepare for the next part of my business, or I need to prepare for extend my family. Whatever happened to just having fun and just honestly raw dogging life a little bit, not having those constant looping thoughts of, okay, I've done this, so what's next? Oh, and I've done that, so what's next? And what's next? And what's next? And I think about this, I don't think single people get this as much as people that are in coupled relationships. But I remember when I was in a relationship with my ex, it was constantly, oh, when are you guys going to start a family? Oh, when are you guys going to buy a house? Or when are you guys going to do this? And it was always being on somebody else's timeline. And I think even as a single person, I'm going to backtrack here. Even as a you also have that. It's like, when are you next going to be in a relationship? When are you next going to get your new job opportunity? When are you going to do this? When are you going to do that? And I just would like to collectively say to every single human being who feels it's okay to ask those questions without permission, can you fuck off? Like, the ice caps are melting. People are dying in Gaza. Pride is suddenly not okay anymore. It is unsafe to be a Black woman. I am simply trying to vibe and get it through my. And so I think we collectively need to agree. We need to stop asking what's next. We need to stop asking what's new. I want someone to ask me, what did you do yesterday? Ask me about my fucking past at this point. Stop asking me about because it's easier. I've been in therapy. I've done that shit. What I haven't done is figured out what's next. And when you ask me those questions, it puts pressure and this timeline on me that I don't want. I don't need to have it all figured out to keep going towards my goals. I don't need to have it all figured out to figure out my dreams. What I need to do is recognize that the version of me that is showing up today isn't. And we need to give ourselves more permission to just, and I hate to use this word, or use these words, but honestly, chill the fuck out. To all my girl bosses out there, to all the girlies that are trying to do more, be more, when was the last time you sat your ass down and you didn't do anything? I'm not talking about scrolling on TikTok. I'm not even talking about watching a TV show. I'm talking about, when did you sit down on your couch on a lazy Saturday and take a little snooze in the sun like a cat? When was the last time you did that? And woke up not feeling guilty? Because I haven't done that in a while, and I need to. I really do. This past weekend, my bestie and I were having this conversation where we're on the phone with each other, and she's like, I got to get all these things done. I got to do this. I got to go grocery shopping. I got to work out. And I was like, yeah, I have my pickleball championship, which I did win. Just so you know, you're looking at a pickleball champion right here. But anyways, and I was like, I'm going to go to the grocery store, run a couple errands, and then I'm going to go home. I'm going to bust out my podcast episode and do all these admin things that I need to do. I'm going to do it, and you're going to do it, and we're going to do it. Great. But both of us are like sitting there as we're on the phone, and we're like, but we don't wanna. We want to go outside and go to the lake. So guess what ended up happening? Won my pickleball championship, went and had celebratory drinks with my team. And then I called my bestie and I said, hey, what are you doing right now? And she's like, oh, I just sat down. I'm going to start doing everything. And I said, but what if you didn't? What if we went to the lake instead? And guess what? We fucking did. We went to the lake, and the world didn't end. Our chores still got done. It might have gotten done later. We might not have checked every single thing off of our box, but we're two capable human beings that are able to make that choice for ourselves. We didn't need a permission slip to go have fun. We didn't need a permission slip to just go and be silly and just have a good time and enjoy each other's company when we both knew that we were going to have a busy week ahead. And we didn't want to spend our Sunday preparing for that week ahead. That's what I also get so frustrated with, is we're constantly preparing as well for the next thing. I've got to meal prep for the next week. I got to do this for the next week. I got to do that. Bitch, it is Thursday. Can we calm down? Can we just enjoy it? Can we just relax? And to kind of get back to being in the in-between, is I think that's part of being in the in-between, is just learning and understanding that there is a start and there is an end to things, but there's also a whole middle. And if we're constantly flipping through the pages of our lives to skip ahead to the end to get to the next chapter, are we really learning anything? Are we really growing as human beings? Are we really understanding ourselves as human individuals? I think back to the moments throughout my life where I was so ready to be done with where I was at. I was so ready to get to the next thing. I remember when I was engaged, I was so ready to be married. And when I was married, I was so ready to be divorced. Maybe that's not the best example, but I don't know. At what point did we as a society agree, or maybe as women, agree to constantly be working so hard to never actually enjoy our lives? And I think that's a tough pill to swallow. In order to get to the next thing, there has to be some work done. But also, you need to rest. But also, you need to do this. And also, you need to do that. And I think we need to start allowing ourselves to do things on our own timeline, to be our own individual selves, to hold our boundaries, to trust ourselves, to know that we're going to get to the point that we want in our lives on our schedules and on our time. And I think it can be a really tough pill to swallow for a lot of us because we've been taught that we have to get to the next thing. And so that's why I think this transition period, this lull almost, where actually I think a lot of the more deeper work happens because it's like you do need to sit in it. You do need to push through. You on some days you do need to learn to rest. And I know it sounds all exhausting, but we cannot be our full individualistic selves without the boring parts, without the exciting parts, without the joy, without the pain. I think that's kind of something that I'm realizing right now is I've been so caught up in getting to hitting these metrics and hitting my goals that I haven't taken a moment to realize not only how far I've come, but what an honor and privilege it is to have gotten to this point. This part of my life, this transition period, this moment where I'm single but want to be in a relationship, this moment where I have a full-time job, but I'm also following my creative pursuits, where I am getting to a point where I am taking content creation more seriously, but I'm not calling myself a content creator. How cool is it to be at that place? To have these decisions that I get to make on my own. How cool is it that we get to have these moments in our lives where we can see all the different paths and we get to take our time to decide which one we want to take? I think that's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. So maybe it's not that the transition period is boring or a lull. Maybe it's the transition period is almost like a waiting room where we get to decide which door we want to go into. We get to decide which path that we want to take. And what's so cool about this realization that I'm having is that when you have the boundaries, when you trust yourself, when you have a community that supports you, when you've learned to step into your power and you've overcome your limiting beliefs, of course the options are going to be endless. Of course it's going to take time to get to the next thing because you have overcome so much that now the options are endless. And for someone who has done all of that work, you're upset about it? You do have all these options that you get to take your time. I feel like you guys are getting a sneak peek into what my journaling looks like. And instead of journaling, I'm just me and my microphone. I think it's okay to be in this period, this moment, this transition where I'm waiting to make my decision. I'm waiting to get to the next thing. I'm taking my time. Because when I look back in 5 years from now, I want to be able to say, I'm so happy she trusted herself and trusted her instincts. Because even though I said earlier, like, I don't know if she would, like, 5 year from me would look back and regret it, I don't think that anymore in this little mini vlogging journal session that I'm having with you guys right now. What I actually think is that she would just be so proud that I made a decision based on the information that I had, as well as I trusted myself. I trusted future me, tomorrow me, the next week, 2 weeks from now, a year from now me, to follow the hopes and the dreams that she wants and not feel guilt or regret over the doors that she didn't take. And I think that's such a good place to be in right now. I'm realizing live that there is still more to learn about myself, as well as that I have time. I don't need to make a decision about my career. I don't need to make a decision about my hopes and my dreams. And I know it seems like I'm backtracking, but I just, like I said, I just had this realization that there is so much hope in this transition period because I have already done the hardest thing. I've started. I'm sitting in front of this microphone. I've had 70 episodes come out. I'm posting on TikTok. And I feel good in front of the camera now. I've come so far. And I know that this isn't the end for me. So why not just enjoy where I am now and see where my next instincts take me, where my next goals could be, where my next everything could be. So I guess to kind of wrap up this journaling session, I think we need to give ourselves permission to be okay with where we're at in our lives. Whether you're at the beginning of your healing journey, the middle, or what feels like closer to the end, which I don't believe that there's an end ever to your healing journey. I feel like you can always learn more about yourselves and about your experiences with the rest of the world. But all of our hard work will pay off in some way, shape, or form. And when we do trust ourselves, when we do step into our power and build our communities and overcome our limiting beliefs, we really do have such a beautiful life and such a beautiful life ahead of us, because we do have endless options. We do have a surplus of doors that we get to go through. And some are going to be harder than others, but how amazing is it to be in that place? How amazing is it to have options when, if you reflect, it felt like at one point that you only had one, which was survival? How amazing is it that we get to do that? We get to have these options and these choices because we have put in the hard work. We have done the hardest part where we've already started. I just think that's beautiful. And on that note, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I really hope that you enjoyed today's journal raw dog session of me and just my microphone. I know we went through on a whole journey of this, that, and the other thing, but might do more of these. I think that they're fun. They're unscripted. They're raw. And I think you get to see a little bit more about me and how my thought process works. And I mean, this was honestly a very real journaling session. Basically, it was just out loud. So on that note, if you like this episode, please feel free to share it with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe to future episodes. I am super excited because soon we will be having another special guest, marketing by Mackenzie. She is a social media coordinator, and I am very excited to have you guys take a listen to her because I learned a lot in that podcast episode, and she is actually local to the Seattle Tacoma area. So if you are an entrepreneur, you will be able to book her, and I highly recommend it before she is all booked up for the rest of summer. But again, if you like this episode, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. And remember, we're in a messy middle right now. If you're in a transition period, if you're working your ass off, enjoy it. You've worked so hard to get to where you are right now. And it's amazing that you have so many doors in front of you that you get to choose from. So if you have people getting in your face, asking you what's next, what's going on, tell them to shut the fuck up and wait in line, because it's your turn. You get to choose which door you want to go through. No one else can push you through them. Kisses.